Everyone, I'm Dean Obidala. Welcome to today's Daily Dean. If you give me a few minutes, I will break down an issue of the day, generally a way not covered by corporate media. And today's issue has to do with the Jeffrey Epstein files. Not the files themselves, but the focus. And our focus needs to be on justice for the Epstein survivors. There is a political angle to the story. We all get it. Donald Trump did not want these documents released. He is implicated. We all know that. But what gets lost, I think, in my view, are two things. One is the scope of how large this Epstein scandal was, that it really was a massive blackmail ring implicating thousands of people. Corporate media doesn't want to talk about it that way. They talk about it more. It's about Jeffrey Epstein and what he wanted for his own personal satisfaction. That's not the truth. Second, what's lost is what do the Epstein survivors want? And yes, it is still important to cover that Donald Trump did not want these documents released. Today, we had a vote, 427-1 in the House, in support of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It'll go to the Senate, likely pass there, and Trump might even sign it. That's all fair to talk about, that Donald Trump did not want that to happen. Donald Trump, in July, his DOJ said you're getting zero documents, zero. And that was because of Trump. Donald Trump, since then, has slammed even Republicans who wanted the documents released, calling them weaklings and losers, and that it was Democratic bullshit is the term he used, and went on, calling it a hoax. He even demonized and slammed reporters to their face since July when they asked about it. Most recent example was just yesterday on Air Force One, when a young reporter from Bloomberg asked him about the files. And Donald Trump looked her in the face angrily and said, quiet, piggy. Yes, he called a female reporter a piggy on Air Force One. That's how angry he was by these files. He knows what's in it. We don't. I'm sure they've removed certain things or hidden certain things before we'll get it. But the point is the Epstein survivors needed two things. And it's not me saying this. It's the survivors saying it. And I think it should be amplified. First, in September, there was a big press conference on Capitol Hill. I'm sure you remember. Numerous Epstein survivors testified there or spoke there at that event. And what we heard from various ones was the idea that they need the files released for their own healing. You know, it was a very powerful statement made by Marina Lacerda, who said, and I'll read her exact words about the files. She said, the worst part is the government is still in possession right now of documents and information that could help me remember and get over all of this and maybe help me heal. And it was then that I understood that this is not about politics. For the survivors, there are things in those files that I help them heal, maybe help them understand what they went through. Some of them have blocked it out. It would make sense. So you have that component, and today's a big step in the right direction. And I do think it'll pass in the Senate. There might be some change, and I think it'll become law. Will we get all the documents? It's not clear. But what we need beyond the documents, and that's important, is justice, accountability. And we also need the media to talk about this in terms of what really this was about. This was not just about Donald Trump's close friend, Jeffrey Epstein, a person he called terrific and said it was a lot of fun to be around. But as Lisa Phillips, one of the survivors, told me on my radio and show in September, she made it very clear. Jeffrey Epstein videotaped everywhere, in the house in New York, on Epstein Island, in Florida. And she said she actually discussed it with him. And he said he was building something here. And what was clear to her is that it was a blackmail ring. A massive international blackmail ring. That is why there, according to Trump's own DOJ, there are more than 1,000 victims. More than 1,000 victims. That's women from all over. That's men involved from all over in other parts of the world. And not just Prince Andrew, others as well. And what Lisa talked about is that for healing for the women, they need accountability. Now, accountability looks different to different people. The idea of criminally prosecuting the men involved would be a great step. The statute of limitations, like I say this as a lawyer, in certain states is going to have expired if they were adults at the times of the crime. But if they were children who were raped by Epstein's friends and trafficked, then there is a good chance the statute of limitations is not run. And if the survivors want to go forward, prosecutors should support them. And there should be a prosecution. There should also be, the survivors don't want that, if they want just simply the naming of people so that society knows who walks among us, who is involved in this trafficking, that should be allowed as well. To me, the big thing is accountability should go in terms of how the Epstein survivors want it to be. This is their lives. They have to overcome something that has been horrific. Today, Virginia Giuffre, who committed suicide several months ago, her brother Sky talked at the press conference and shared how her dream is working at 16 years old at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago in the spa turned into a nightmare when Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her, groomed her, and then trafficked her with Jeffrey Epstein to have sex with powerful men. That story is not the exception. It is a very common example of what Epstein did. And polling today showed that only 15% of Americans think Donald Trump did not know what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. So accountability might come for Donald Trump as well, not for political reasons, but for justice. It's demanded. It's demanded for the victims. So to me, the biggest takeaway today from the story is the focus must be the Epstein survivors. It must be talking about this in the honest terms and have survivors on talking about how this was a massive blackmail ring and being able to get the support they need from the media to tell the story of who was involved. But remember, this is not about Trump. This is about the survivors. The survivors of the largest sex trafficking and blackmail scheme we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Whatever path the survivors take, we must support them. Thanks for tuning in for today's Daily Dean.